Today. All right, Chloe, how are you? We got
Oh,
connected. We
where are
are official.
you?
Okay, perfect. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you tonight for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Doing this.
So for today's call, I think would be good. We get a sense of what your organization's all about, how you became an overnight, not even overnight, just a success at a very young age. So I think it's important that everyone get a sense of, the accomplishments that you have achieved with, of course, many supporting you along the way. So I'm going to give a quick little introduction, and then we'll get right into it. So hello, everyone. I'm Adam McNatovsky, the host of The Give Back. We like to talk about great people doing great things in the community, and today is no different. This is all, we like to highlight amazing organizations because these are the people who are on our platform as well, humbler.co, which has just gone live. You can find their amazing volunteering opportunities, fundraising opportunities, just in general experiences that give back. So it's easy for everyone to get involved, regardless their age or where they're located. So that being said, our next guest is CEO, pretty lofty title, and founder of Sustainable Start, Chloe Trujillo. How are you doing today?
Doing very, very well. I'm super excited.
Perfect. So let's start slow, and for our viewers who are watching now and will be watching later, could you tell us about what Sustainable Start is all about?
Yeah, so Sustainable Start is a nonprofit that delivers eco-friendly and high-quality hygiene items to New Yorkers experiencing homelessness. And I think what's really special about us is that our entire team of 80 members are high schoolers. So everything that we do is super based in our community. Any partnerships we have with companies are just through teenagers reaching out to small businesses in the community. And yeah, that's basically how we do our part at such a young age.
So how did this begin? What was the driving force?
So I think last winter I had to have help getting home because I didn't know where the subway was. And a homeless man helped me reach the train, and he told me that this is something that he regularly did, because he knew that the area wasn't the safest and it was a little bit confusing. And I thought it was really touching that he probably should have been worried about where he could sleep safely that night, but instead he was worried about helping me get safely to my house. So I wanted to do something to give back to my neighbors experiencing homelessness. And I started carrying toiletries with me in my bag, but I wanted my friends to also get involved with this as well. So they started
Right.
doing the same. And then I decided to make it into a nonprofit because if we have more of a structure, we can accept donations and make everything a lot more efficient so we could reach more people.
Perfect. So that kind of leads to a nice little segue here. Your motto is empowering our neighbors to be seen, respected, and loved.
Mhm.
So by having these hygiene products, how do you help implement that?
Well, I feel like New York is somewhat divided. I know the community is really progressive and really accepting, but at the same time, with the recent like temporary shelters on the Upper West Side, there was a lot of pushback from residents for a number of reasons. But I think the first step is to try to make people on both sides of, I guess, this kind of divide uh, feel a lot more respected and look more the part that they feel, because obviously if you don't really like, if you're not too clean, or if you're not having, even if you have a bad hair day, like it kind of messes with your morale. So just making people look as good as they deserve to feel is a
Mm.
very big step in that. But also with good hygiene, especially because of COVID, that's super important. Just being able to like sanitize your hands could literally save your life. So that was a really big part.
Right. So for those individuals who might be a little bit older than a high schooler, me included, just a little bit older, how could we get involved?
Well, so Humbler has a great platform for listing events. So we've listed three so far events to hand out kits on the weekend of December 12th. One's going to be in Harlem, one's going to be in Chelsea, and one's going to be in the Lower East Side, I think. And we will definitely list more through Humbler. But that's one of the ways that you can help is just handing out the kits in your community. Um, Another way is if you visit our website, which is sustainablestartny.org. There's a tab that's called Get Involved, and you can explore a number of different ways that if you're part of a company, your company can have a kit making event. And you guys can hand it out yourselves. Or if you're just an individual, you can come to our Zoom meetings on Tuesdays, where I kind of brief everybody on what needs to happen throughout the week to get to our next step. And the biggest event that's coming up is going to be making 5,000 hygiene kits at my high school, which unfortunately is closed to people who aren't in the high school. But after this event, and hopefully as COVID becomes less of an issue in the city, we'll be opening that up to a lot more people.
That sounds great. So I'm hearing, with COVID, how have you overcome those obstacles of getting people active in the community? And have you shifted online at all, or is it primarily in person?
Well, when we first started, it was in person, but the team was a lot smaller. It was just me and a few close people. But when COVID hit, first, a lot of people realized how important hygiene items are, especially at this time. So the amount of volunteer participation grew so much. And also because everything was moving online with school, and I went away to quarantine as well, I couldn't be as hands-on as I wanted to. Zoom became a really good way for us to not only reach the existing team members, but grow our team because it's super accessible. You could literally just join from your house.
Hmm.
And in terms of how we actually do the kit making operations, it's been a little bit harder to do that because we can't gather. Some people have volunteered to make them in their own house. They literally have like 500 bags of just hygiene kits in their living room. But we've also switched to when we make the kits, we'll put them in boxes and give them to shelters so the shelters can hand them out instead of us being on the street and giving it to them. Which actually has been really good because we've been able to not only increase the amount of people reached, because I can just drop off like 1,500 kits at the headquarters for a shelter network and they distribute it to all of their clients. But also because certain shelters have certain needs, like some already receive socks, it helps us reach a lot more people because we don't actually need to be like doubling up on those products. So it's actually been really, I mean, COVID is not good, but in terms of scaling our organization, it has been helpful.
And I think we have a question from Dollop of D here. Which shelters do you partner with?
So again, if you visit our website, sustainablestartny.org, we have a list of 12 shelters that we've already partnered with. But off the top of my head, I can think of a couple drop-in centers such as the New York Common Pantry and the Door, temporary shelters like the Lucerne on the Upper West Side. I know we've partnered with Safe Haven. We've partnered with Canva shelters, which are a network of shelters in Brooklyn, both their family and their single adult shelters. So,
Mhm.
and then also Bronx Works, which has a network, I think they're single adult shelters. But for the upcoming 5,000 kids, they're primarily going to be going to the ones in Brooklyn and the ones in the Bronx. And when we hand out the kits ourselves, that'll be in Manhattan, and whatever else we don't give out will, oh yeah, and the Bowery Mission, we gave about 1,000 too. But whatever else we don't hand out, we will be giving to shelters in Manhattan.
So across all the boroughs, at
Yeah,
least Bronx, Brooklyn, and Manhattan, there is opportunities. If there's an event that's not nearby, just hold on. There's an event coming near you
yeah.
soon.
In
Okay.
Queens, I know that there is a homeless problem in Staten Island as well, but we don't have any volunteers from there, so we primarily have been doing the other four boroughs. But if any
Okay.
volunteers want to help out in their own neighborhood, another way that you can get involved is just by DMing us. And if we have extra kits at my house, I call them the fairies. I've been giving them to the Sustainable Start fairies, and they just go around the city. And if they run into somebody who needs one, they hand it to them. So you can also do that in your
Okay. Very nice. And okay, so when you're trying to create this change in the community,
neighborhood.
um, I guess a question that comes up is, you know, aren't there already enough organizations tackling this issue? What makes Sustainable Start different?
Um, So I think that question has to be answered in two parts. So first, are there
Hmm.
organizations doing things like this? In my experience, just from talking to the shelters, no, because when we talk to them and figure out exactly what they need, a lot of shelters, they don't have socks, which is a thing that is in really high demand. I remember the first time that we gave out kits, somebody asked like what's in the kits, and we said socks, and they said, oh, that's perfect, like my only pair of socks just got wet. And he lived at a shelter that was a few blocks away. um, and also, actually 2 days ago, I was talking with somebody on the street, and I asked them what they need, and they said mostly wet wipes and mostly socks, so definitely socks, but
Hmm.
also hygiene items for people who even used to be in shelters. They don't want to be in shelters anymore because they can't social distance. So even if shelters do have the type of access to the hygiene products, some people can't access them. Um,
Hmm.
which is a big problem that I think we help solve because since we're smaller and I'm not going to say we're unstructured, but we're a lot more, uh, we take any volunteer opportunity. So if somebody wants to hand it out, we can literally just give them kits
Very
because
grassroots. Yeah.
exactly very grassroots. So we are able to, I guess, reach our roots a little bit further than more established organizations, and hopefully that's something we'll continue to do even when we become more established. And then the second part of your question, what was the second part of your
Is
question?
what makes you different?
Oh, what makes us different? So, as young people, um, being very in touch with climate change and other environmental issues is something that I think is essential to a lot of us because we have to spend, like, obviously you know this because you're young as well, but we have to spend a lot of time on the earth still. So, we wanted to make sure that we weren't damaging the environment that much because a lot of like hygiene kit places, if you buy them in bulk from a warehouse, usually it's from like really poor materials in China, a lot of pollution, a lot of transportation, and things like that. But because we've been able to partner with a lot of companies, and a lot of them are eco-friendly as well, we're not only giving the eco-friendly companies, uh, I guess, well, I don't know how much of a good reputation we can give them, but like the fact that they're helping the community in this way also makes the community want to help them more. So we're helping the eco-friendly brands gain support. Um, we're also trying to reduce the amount of trash or litter or things that aren't making it into the recycling bin by using products that have minimal packaging. Even our kits are made of recycled paper bags, and obviously they're biodegradable. So that's another way that we're approaching it. And now that we've been making more partnerships with bigger companies and manufacturers, we can actually cut out the middleman of going to a department store and buying that and then throwing out the packaging, whereas we can just receive the products and give out just the necessities ourselves, no like extra stuff like that.
Right. So that's amazing. I think that's a really good point you just made, is that just because there's one issue doesn't mean you can't layer it and try to solve multiple at the same time. So I think that's really powerful. And I guess my last question for you, and this is kind of just a sum up here, just so those who are just tuning in or want that quick summary, is what are the top three things our viewers can do to get involved in Sustainable Start?
Well, first, we definitely could always use more hands on deck. So, going to humbler.co to see what volunteer opportunities are listed, whether it's handing out the kits, whether it's helping us drive the kits from shelter to shelter. That's definitely something since we're young and we can't drive. But, like, just keep refreshing the page and see what comes up. Another way is definitely to donate because you can give somebody $1 on the street, or you can donate to like, yeah, you can give people any amount of money, but if you donate to an organization who already has connections with other companies that receive products for a much much lower cost, and we're giving away our products for free, you can definitely be assured that your dollar is going to go a lot farther than it would if you gave it to an individual. Because I was looking at our deodorant that goes in our kits, and it's literally $9 for one thing of deodorant, whereas we give out that plus 8 other items for free. So definitely donating to us is another big way. And third, I would say if you're interested in joining our team, whether it's contributing creative ideas, or writing blog articles just to increase engagement among people who are looking at our page or something like that, that's definitely a way that you can help. So any type of inclination that you have, whether it's writing or computer programming or something like that, will definitely find a place for you on the team. So just message us or comment on a picture or something. We'll reach out to you.
Absolutely. Well, that's great. And also, don't forget, please follow Sustainable Start on Instagram. Please follow them on Facebook and whatever other social media outlets the kids are using these days. That's what's key. Any other ones besides Instagram, Facebook? Maybe a
um,
Twitter or a TikTok? I don't know what.
well, we usually just use, we have a LinkedIn um,
Okay.
because a lot, like half of our model is making partnerships with companies. So if you think that your company would be interested in partnering, it doesn't even have to be something that goes in the kits. If you guys have a printer, that is a huge help because we print resource guides like these. They have information with things like COVID testing, shelters. So like we will find a way for your service to be put to use. Um, so if you want to get involved, honestly, just message us and we will explore all the options. That's the best way.